This week I'm learning to play the Reno Mage. Currently one of the top decks of the meta. If you want to learn how to play this awesome deck, stick around. Hey guys, Neo here. Thanks for joining me for my Reno Mage deck guide. First of all, let's talk about the deck strategies. So there are two strategies, one against aggro decks and one against slower decks. So the strategy against aggro decks is about surviving until the late game, where your cards will start outvaluing your opponent's deck. Another thing to note is, hopefully you're able to pick up Reno on your mulligan, and in a lot of cases, if you play that on turn 6 against these aggro decks, that's an auto win. Now the strategy against slower decks is basically all about outvaluing your opponent in most cases. So for example, you want to make sure you're using Kazakhs with Bran to get double potions. You want to make sure you're making good trades, and you also want to make sure you're really thinking about when you use your board clears to get maximum value out of those cards. Alright guys, let's have a look at the deck. So here's my version of the Reno Mage. Now there are way too many cards to go through in this video, so I'm just going to look at some of the main combos and synergies. First of all, I'd like to talk about Reno, the most valuable card in the deck, hence why it's named after Reno. As I mentioned earlier, played against an aggro deck, it's essentially an auto win on turn 6 in most cases, and it's also very valuable in the slower games as well. You may be wondering why I've got the Ice Block card here listed in synergy with Reno. The reason for this is because I think it's fantastic, because it takes away your needing to worry about when to play Reno, which also stops you from either playing Reno too early or too late and dying. Now let's take a look at the Bran combos. As I mentioned earlier, Bran is very important when you're playing against slower decks, when you're trying to outvalue them. So the first combo I want to talk about is Bran and Kazakhs to get the double Kazakhs potion. It's very important. Then we have this other really cool Bran combo. If your opponent has 3 or more minions on the board, you can play Bran plus Dirty Rat, which can be amazing against other Reno decks, for example, because you might pull Reno onto the board and then your opponent isn't going to get that full heal, which is really cool. Same goes with Kazakhs. And then after that, you can play the Mind Control tech and Mind Control 2 of their minions. It's such a fantastic combo, and it can completely change the game. So now I'd like to have a look at Archmage Antonidas. So with this card, every time you cast a spell while it's on the board, you get a fireball in your hand. So usually you'll want to play this and use as many cheap spells as you can to build up as many fireballs as you can in your hand, because your opponent's going to kill that next turn, and if they don't, then it's basically GG at that point. Alright guys, let's have a look at Medivh next. So Medivh is a 7/7 minion, which is pretty solid by itself, but we really want it for the Battle Cry. So the Battle Cry summons Atyash, which is a 1/3 weapon. Now the weapon has a power on it, which is every time you cast a spell, Atyash will lose 1 durability, but it will summon a minion equal to the same cost as the spell you've used. So in this deck we're running quite a few expensive spells such as Firelance Portal, Pyroblast, etc. This can be really valuable and give you really good value per card. So if you play Firelance Portal, for example, that does 5 damage, will summon a minion just on the card, and then you'll summon another 7 cost minion because of Atyash, so it's a really solid combo. So now I'd like to take a look at the Manic Soulcaster card. So the use for this card depends on whether you're playing against aggro decks or against slower decks. Against aggro decks you essentially want it for its 3/4 body, because it's quite a good value card on turn 3. Whereas against slower decks you want it for its Battle Cry to gain some more value out of cards, like putting another Reno into your deck or another Kazakhs, for example. So now I've come to the final combo I want to talk about, the awesome 2-turn kill. So first off you want to play Alexstrasza on turn 9 and bring your opponent down to 15 health. Then on the following turn you want to play Inkmaster Solia for the Battle Cry so that you get a 0 cost Pyroblast. Now hopefully earlier in the game you've already used Forgotten Torch and shuffled Roaring Torch into your deck and drawn it. And then at that point you can use the Roaring Torch to do the final 6 damage and finish your opponent off. Now you can also use Fireball if you've used Emp earlier in the game to reduce the cost of either Fireball or Inkmaster. Alright guys, it's time to have a look at the mulligans for this deck. So obviously we're going to have different mulligans depending on whether we're playing against aggro decks or against slower decks. So let's start off by having a look at the mulligans we want to use against aggro decks. Alright guys, the first card in our list of aggro deck mulligans is the Arcane Blast card. So this is really good early game minion removal, but it can also be comboed with Blood Mage Thalnos to increase its damage to 4, which can be very useful against decks that run kind of minions with 4 health, for example the Totem Golem in the Shaman deck, or the Frothing Berserker in the Pirate Warrior deck. The next mulligan card is the Doomsayer card, which is one of the best cards to use against aggro decks. Basically, if you play this on turn 2, it has 2 outcomes. One, Your opponent ignores it and does some face damage and doesn't play any other cards during this turn, which has two effects. Basically it stalls, slows them down, and it will clear out a minion or two that might already be on the field. The other outcome is your opponent invests a fair bit of resources at that point in the game to kill it, which basically saves yourself from 7 face damage and will hopefully give you enough time to get to the Reno card. Next we have the Frostbolt card, which is a really good early game minion removal. It can also be used later in the game to stop a very large minion from hitting you in the face potentially, if you don't have the resources to deal with it at the time. Alright guys, now let's have a look at the Ice Block card. As I mentioned earlier, this is a very valuable card in this deck, in particular against aggro decks. Not only does it give you an extra turn of life, which might help you get to the Reno card, it also takes away you needing to worry about when to play Reno. As well as that, it actually gives you some protection in case your opponent does something that you're not prepared for. Next we have the Manic Soulcaster card. As I mentioned earlier, essentially in the aggro deck we just want it for the 3-4 body because it's a really solid turn 3 drop. Now let's look at the Mind Control tech. Aggro decks are known for floating the board with heaps of minions, so playing this card is really good. If you can steal a large minion, that in quite a lot of cases is GG, but even stealing a smaller minion is a really good tempo gain. Now we've come to the Volcanic Potion, one of the best mulligans you can get against the aggro decks, because the aggro decks flood the board with heaps of cheap minions, and the Volcanic Potion can generally take out most of them all in one hit. Now let's talk about the Kazakus card. Playing against aggro decks, you basically want to drop at turn 4 and grab a 5-cost potion, and then on turn 5 use that potion to hopefully either clear out the board, or give yourself some armor, or summon back a couple of minions and really make it difficult for your opponent to recover from that point. Alright guys, we've come to the final main mulligan card against aggro decks, Reno. As I mentioned earlier, in most cases if you play this on turn 6 it's an auto win. So we've got a couple of additional mulligans that you might choose to pick against fast decks depending on their configuration. So the first of those is the Acidic Swampoos. Basically you only want to keep this if you're playing against weapon-based decks such as the Aggro Shaman or the Aggro Pirate Warrior. The other mulligan is the Blood Mage Thalnos card. As I mentioned earlier, it can be comboed quite well with Arcane Blast, even Frostbolt, but essentially there's no point keeping it if you haven't got either of those cards in your hand. Alright, now let's have a look at the mulligans to use when facing slower decks. First of all, the Doomsayer card. This card's still quite valuable against slower decks. It's quite a good board clear early on and probably the best value 2-drop card in the deck. Next we have the Forgotten Torch card. This is a really solid turn 3 minion removal. But the main reason we want it is so we can shuffle it into our deck as soon as possible so we can get that 6 damage version back, which we can use to help finish off our opponent. Just like the aggro mulligans, I've got the Ice Block card listed here. Essentially it's a very valuable card to stop yourself from dying, but the main reason I have it listed here is because it stops you from having to worry about when to play Reno. The Refreshment Vendor is quite a good card to mulligan against slower decks. It's basically the best card to play on turn 4, since against slower decks we're not going to be playing Kazakus, because we want to save Kazakus to combo with Bran hopefully for maximum value. So it's essentially the best turn 4 play, and obviously the heal is quite nice as well. Next we have the Kazakus card, one of the most valuable cards in the deck. Essentially mulliganing is very useful because then it gives you the option of getting the potion early if you need to, otherwise you can hold on to it and use it with Bran, which I would advise to do that if possible. So now I've come to Reno. This is not critical to get in your hand at the beginning, but if you draw it, I'd suggest holding on to it. There's no reason to throw it away. So now I've come to the last few cards in the mulligan list for slow decks. These are situational cards. So you only want to keep Arcane Blast and Frostbolt if you're running against a deck that's got some early game minion drops. As for the Azure-Drake, it's actually a really good card, but it's not worth holding on to unless the rest of your hand's really good. Alright guys, now that we've finished looking at the mulligans for this deck, let's go and play a couple of games and see it in action. Warlock, cool, so playing slower decks, so I want to stick with the slower deck mulligan cards. Doomsayer is good. Blood Mage. Yeah, I can probably drop it. Mind Control Tech. Probably drop it as well. Polymorph is very useful, so you might play a Mountain Giant for very cheap early on. Reno is good. So let's see how we go. Yeah, in theory we're favoured in this matchup. We should be able to outvalue. Although it looks like he's actually running the current Zoo Trend Warlock, which could be interesting, so I might have actually picked incorrectly. But can't really do much about that. Yeah, so Volcanic Potion would be great right now, but that's okay. I could have Doomsayed then, actually. So let's get that Roaring Torch into the deck. It's good. We're taking a fair bit of damage. Wow. Well, you know, we can Mind Control tech and see if we get lucky. I don't know if it's worth it. I think we're better off saving it for later on when we can combo with Brand and Dirty Rat. I think right now we can do that and see if he really wants to save those minions or not. He might go for it for tempo. Anyway, I'm very happy we have Reno in our hand now, considering he's playing this deck. Should have known actually. Should be able to play in the last few days. Okay, I really want to save that. Nice. We can decide here. No, I still want Mind Control tech. That's pretty solid. Clears out most of the board. We really want another board clear. It'd be good to draw Blizzard or Kazakus. Would be good. Kazakus Potion would be very handy. Yeah, I mean, essentially we need some more card draw, I think. What we have in our hand right now is not overly useful. Long term it's useful. Could be the point in time where actually Mind Control tech might be the best play, and then we can ping something. Good. That'll Void Walker I would have been happy with, so it's pretty good. So I can probably Firelands Portal that. Darkshire Councilman? Wow. Really going for it there. Yeah, okay, that's looking pretty solid. He overcommitted then. But I mean, I guess it's the deck. So I think the way to go is going to be Emp and Ping. Get rid of that. Ping that. Make life very difficult for him. We can Antonitis next turn and Roaring Torch if we want. Yep. I mean, we can pull him off, but I think he's got no cards in his hand. He's going to struggle. And he's going to deal with that too. That was actually a really good portal summon. Wow. We've got lethal. How much is that? Gets 2 every time. Couldn't fireball for 6. Fireball for another 6. That's 2. Yeah, that's easy. Easy. Nice. Cool. Now, this could be a bad matchup for the Dragon Priest, which is most likely the case. We'll ditch all of that. Frostbolt, Forgotten Torch, that's okay. Sylvanas I don't find that great against Priests because they usually just entomb it into the deck. If you play it after turn 8, which kind of sucks. I think I'll get rid of that. So normally we'd play Manic Soulcaster next turn for tempo, but yeah, it's probably worth it, I think. Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the Battlecry power is really good, but it's a really good turn 3 drop. And it was definitely worth it because now we can basically Roaring Torch, knock that out. Just solid play. Okay. Get some card draw. Fireball, cool. Really want Kazakus Bran. Now, as I said, I kind of want to play Sylvanas because if I wait till turn 8, he'll probably just entomb it. I mean, he can just kill it now with Shadow Word Death, but that's okay. Actually do that. That's not bad actually, and next time we can play Medivh potentially. Maybe we might have to fireball something, but we'll see. Depends what he plays. So I think we should kill that, play Medivh. And now we can start following up with Fireball, Roaring Torch and Pyroblast to finish him off. Although if he doesn't, yeah, if he didn't deal with that, so much damage on the board. Yeah, so that Sylvanas play was a bit interesting, but as I said, my reasoning for it was because I didn't want him to entomb it, and it worked out quite well, gave us a lot of tempo. Warrior, cool. Good, so hopefully, most likely aggro, they could be control. Frostbolt's useful, Flamestruck, no, Blizzard, too late, Polymorph, I'm gonna drop. Can be useful, but we need to try and draw. Reno, Kazakus. Acidic Swamp Ooze is good. Refreshment Vendor's handy, but we really want Reno. Okay, it's control, so we're going to play the value game. No, he's out armoring me by 1, or out health plus armoring me by 1. See, now I wish I kept that polymorph. Ha! That's funny. He might hit it and buff it and hit me for a decent amount of damage, but that's okay. Can deal with it. So this guy's deck's confusing me. Anyway, whatever. Could have actually pinged up patches then, but not sure if yeah, it depends where he plays now. I might not be able to afford the 2 mana. Don't tell me he's not going to use it. I thought he was going to chill. Damn. Solid. As good as 5 health. And now I have to play another weapon to use one of his pirate bonuses. Cool, cool. Oh yes. So let's get rid of that. It's the most damage. So next turn, unless we draw a brand, we probably want to play Kazakus, Polymorph. Oh my god, his weapon's actually crazily buffed. Oh, my swamp is back. Yeah, from 5 costs. Should grab that just in case. Yep, that's cool. That's okay. I was hoping for 4 AoE damage, but can't complain. Have we actually had 2 minions that have died this game? We haven't. So I should kill him first. Oh yeah, we did. We had, yeah. My memory's hopeless. Damn. Anyway, that's okay. Nice, I bought another turn before that's procced. Unless he gets Fireball, of course. That's okay. Guess it's finally time for Reno. Yeah, I'd like to get Medivh out, I think. Depends what he does, of course. Nice, we can double heal ourselves. Yeah. Although it might be of more benefit to him than us. How much damage have we got? 11. I can't maths at all. 14, 18. Oh, okay, well. Alright guys, I'm really happy with the set of games we just played then. We got to play against some slow and some fast decks, which really is good at showing off, you know, how to manage these different types of decks using the Reno Mage. So first of all, we had the Zoo Warlock, or the Unexpected Zoo Warlock, and basically we just kept control the whole time and kept board clearing them, and they didn't have a chance against that. Then in our next match against the Unfavored Dragon Priest, I feel I did quite well by getting some powerful minions onto the board, and then basically from there the opponent couldn't come back. So for our final game, we played against the Pirate Warrior, and basically we kept control of the board most of the game. I mean, they were hitting us in the face for a fair bit of damage. Fortunately, we had the Ice Block Reno combo, which I spoke about quite a bit throughout the video, and I was really happy to actually get to show off the value of Ice Block in particular, because if I didn't have Ice Block up, I probably would have had to use Reno a turn earlier just to play it safe. Anyway guys, that's the end of my video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe below, like it, follow me on Twitter. Please have a look at my blog as well. That has all the information in regards to this deck in particular, and I'll be doing the same with every future deck release. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, have a good one.